We've got something for you today, and I'm going to dive right into this one here. We're heading out to the West Coast, folks. California, here we come. That's right. This musical group, ladies and gentlemen, is like no other. They go by the name Honey of the Heart. But if you were to ask me, I'll tell you, it's not just the honey of the heart, it sweetens the soul. This is good stuff. They opened for the Blues Traveler, the Wailers, Joan Baez. We could call it singer-songwriter, folk, jazz. We've got some flamingo going in there. I feel some reggae. I'm feeling it, ladies and gentlemen, and I know you are too. You're going to love this stuff. Would you please welcome the dynamic duo, Justin Anchetta and Marin Metke. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Joe. Thanks for having us.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. I didn't butcher your names or anything, right? Is it Metke? Is that how I say your last name?
Great. That was perfect.
Wow. So far, so good. Camera's working, audio's working. We're getting a hold of this stuff. Good morning, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having us.
All right. And you know what's funny is I totally screwed up. I was thinking, we have a time difference, and I was thinking that you were 3 hours ahead of me. So, hey, I was ready 4 o'clock this morning for this show. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to start ripping off some questions. Let's get to know you. My viewers are anxious, and I'm very anxious. But if one of you can just kind of maybe give me a summary, who are you? Where are you? Because then we're going to dive in and talk about the music. But I want to know who you two are personally.
You want to start?
We met about 5 or 6 years ago. Both been playing music for our entire life, singer-songwriters. And actually, one of the first songs we're going to play for you guys today off the album. It's our first track.
I think it's our first collaboration.
Our first collaboration, reaching. Anyway, we can talk about it in a bit. But we found each other in the Bay Area after Marin got back from India, and we are playing music with the band Honey of the Heart that we created, and we now have our daughter, who's almost 2 years old. So time has gone by.
And you know what? I have a strong suspicion that you guys have found a sweet spot in life watching one of your videos. And this is give our listeners an idea on how we all met. I found you on Facebook Live, and it was one of your morning broadcasts. I felt like I had breakfast with you. There was a baby in arm, eggs were frying. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff going on. And Justin, you were playing a stand-up bass, and I really, really enjoyed the nature and of the video and what you were doing. And I started watching the rest of your music and your videos, and I said, I have to know who these people are. Do you guys tour together? Are you in separate groups musically? What's that layout look like?
Well, we had our own music projects when we met 5 years ago, and a common friend introduced us, and then we just started combining. So I started doing backup for his band, and at the time I was looking for a guitarist for my project, and he was like, I'm available, and I was surprised because he just seemed super busy. But once we started to collaborate, even my friend who introduced us was like, you have to meet this guy. Like, he reminds me of you. There's something really particular about his musicality and his personality. Because at the time I kept saying, I want to play with really healthy musicians or community-minded musicians versus a lot of really good musicians feel deeply and therefore can be bogged down in emotional intensity. So I like intensity. I just like healthy intensity. So it was a pretty great match for us. And vibe-wise, too, I think we both have a lot of diverse background. So back then, it was my project, his project, and then we started Honey of the Heart. So it was juggling multiple projects. And then over the years, Justin still has his Justin Anchetta band. I've got my jazz project and stuff, but our main project that we've been focusing on is Honey of the Heart. So we toured pre-baby.
The pre-baby tour.
The pre-baby tour, exactly. We were talking about the baby, like, are we gonna have a baby? Is that what we're doing? We toured with Baleen, the bass. That was our baby. We made room for her in the Sprinter van. That was a lot of fun. And now, I mean, we just set up a whole multi-state tour with the baby, possibly the stand-up bass, and then it all got canceled due to the current pandemic that's happening right now. So we're touring here. Here we are.
Yeah, love it. And I'm grateful that I could be a part of your tour and the stop that you made today. So I appreciate that. Justin, the one thing I noticed watching all of your videos, how many instruments do you play? Like I've watched you play the banjo, I've watched you play the guitar, the stand-up bass, you're a singer. What, this is amazing to me.
Yeah, well, I actually really consider it as just playing one instrument. And when I play the stand-up, I'm playing it with the background of what I've learned on guitar. When I play the hung drum or a shaker, it's with what I've learned with rhythm, on guitar. But yeah, through my life, I started on piano and drums and violin, and yeah.
Are you a music student? Did you go to school for music and professionally trained?
Yeah, I'm classically trained through Sac State Richard Savino in classical guitar, and then I studied in Spain flamenco. But a lot of teachers along the way, I could say a lot of my family and friends were really there as teachers and guiding me along the way.
Very cool. Maren, you mentioned, well, first I want to ask you the same question. Your background, are you musically trained? I mean, you're both obviously professional and just phenomenal. But do you have a schooling in music as well? I know you play piano and you sing. And
I mean, I was raised around music, raised doing choir and theater, and had a lot of piano training. I've been playing piano since I was 5, though I don't play it a ton in Honey of the Heart. I'll play it here and there. So then, and then I play a little ukulele, a little guitar, but and then I end up playing the bells and percussion. But I think it's true, I think for Justin too, that we both tend to learn by doing a lot.
right.
So, playing with amazing musicians elevates you. Like you can't not learn. I know for me, even in my piano training, what I kept coming back to and my teachers kept coming back to was like, I'm really more of a by ear learner. Like I can sit with something and learn it, somatically or organically more enjoyably than if I were to get training, though the training helps, it's like, It may as well all enter left brain and right brain, and then it comes together and does cool things.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a gift too to be able to do that. I heard a couple things here. Justin, you mentioned Spain, and then you mentioned when Maren was in India. So you guys have done some world travel. I think it's interesting. Then you come together in the Bay Area, right? I mean, it's what was in India? I'm just curious. And Justin, you said you went to school in Spain.
I was just really intrigued by flamenco music. So I went there multiple times to go listen really and just acculturate to that.
Yeah, very cool. And what was going on in India that brought you to India, Maren?
Yeah, well, I for years have run an alternative lower elementary school, and I was getting to a point in life where I was wanting to transition back to focusing on music more. And my school was closing, and I kept being approached by this fellow who was interested in my school for his son to go start a school in India. And he didn't know how it was going to go, and I didn't either. But holistic education is my background, and human development is just in communication in general, words, which translates well over to music too. It's like, what are we saying? Why are we saying it? How are we saying it? And so I just was in an open space in life, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go. So I went to live in India for 6 months.
Yeah.
And the goal, was to start and run the school. But what happened to me was very different. So I got there to run a school, but kept meeting musicians, like incredible, because India is like Europe's Mexico, for us, like that's where they go for vacation. And that's where a lot of musicians will just go rent a house and live for cheap and record albums or write albums. So I just kept getting pulled into this, what felt like a really rich wave of amazing music. So the school there kind of definitely morphed and shifted and sort of drifted off toward the end of the season, but I was pulled full bore into playing music almost every night with multiple different incredible musicians. So it was just clear. They say India can really transform you, and it definitely did. And it definitely made clear, like, you're doing music right now. That's what you're focusing on.
That's fantastic. And you know, the one thing I will say when I listen to your music and I uh, kind of study a little bit of, you know, where you're going with the chords and the style of the strum and everything, and I can hear the different cultures in your music. I think that's what really caught my attention. I mean, there are thousands of musicians on Facebook right now, thousands streaming live because nobody's out doing the gig, nobody's on tour. The big Nashville Cats are even streaming live now with their phones. I think it's so interesting. Everybody's gone bare bones, and you know, when you see guys like Vince Gill with his phone in front of him, I go, this is so cool, right? But when I watched your video, I just felt something, and it is the culture of different countries and different styles. Where does that come into play when you sit down to write? Like if you could maybe just, where does it begin? Do you walk into the room and say, "Hey, Justin, check this lyric out," or like your music is just very interesting.
I think whatever we say is like our way of doing it. The next time we probably do it differently. But we probably tried every possible way of writing a song, standing on our head, jumping up and down. Sometimes it just flows really easily. Reaching was one of those examples of some of Marin's lyrics and my lyrics flowing back and forth. Quando Você Me Ama, which is on the album, we literally walked downstairs and we said, let's write a song in Portuguese and let's use these chords.
Let's write it for this reason.
Is that right?
It was done in like an hour and a half.
Yeah, our baby was teething and biting.
Wow.
I've been around a lot of kids, you know, early childhood is a big love of mine, but I had never been around a kid who bit this much. And she's pretty sweet natured. So it wasn't aggressive. It was just like, oh, you can't not bite. How are we going to get her to stop biting? We've tried everything. Let's write her a love song. Great.
Yeah. It sounds like it just comes out of you naturally. I mean, I think, you know, there are people who learn to play and learn how to write songs and they sit down and do it. And then there are others where it's in their DNA. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking I'm interviewing two people right now that have it in their DNA. I am confident that our listeners right now are so anxious. They're probably telling me to shut up. They're probably going, Joe, hurry up, get him to play a song, because you know, you build that anxiety. So why don't we do this? Let's play a song. We talked a little bit earlier about the song Reaching. If you don't mind, tell me a little bit about what this song is about. And we're going to talk more about you and your music and how all this happens when we come back from the song. But what is this song about? How did you sit down and write it? Give me the story.
My recollection of that is we were, I don't know, post rehearsal or post gig very early on. So it was before we were romantically involved, just music colleagues. And what I remember is that we walked into the studio and maybe he said, or I said, hey, let's just jam, you know, versus me doing kind of backup for his stuff, which I had been doing, and having heard more of each other's music and getting that there was, you know, a lot more to share. And I don't remember exactly how it started. Usually it's like he'll start playing something and I'm like, oh, that sounds like this thing. And then I start singing and then he starts singing. And pretty soon we realize my Reaching lyrics really melded well with his Rooted and created like balance. So that song for me is really about trying to attempt like equilibrium and balance in life, right? Like a lot of us are having to do that right now with this current situation.
Right.
Like, oh, how do I stay on this boat with this wave? I guess I'm staying home, and I guess I'm trying to make money this way, or I guess I'm trying to get connection needs met this other way because it's not as easy to have met another way. So that song Reaching is really like about also visualizing like, what is it you want? and what is it you're reaching for, and how clear are you about it as well? Something about setting intentions. Yeah. Do you want to talk about your part?
No, I think it's good.
Does that match for you how that song came together?
In the studio, Flow Graffiti Studios, and
Yeah.
started jamming slow reggae, and then we wanted to speed it up, and then we sped it up, and that is how the song still goes.
That is the birth of Reaching. I love it. So go ahead. I'm going to have you guys play this. This is Honey of the Heart, Justin Anchetta and Maren Metke. And the song is called Reaching, right here on Wake Up to the Vibe.
Thanks, Joe. Whoa, 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 whoa. La, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. Whoa, 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 la, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. I am reaching for the sunshine, reaching for the love, reaching for a new way to sink, rise above, reaching for expansion, reaching on and on, reaching for another just beyond what I have known. Yeah, yeah.
In my days, no more frowns. I have reasons to lift my arms above clouds. Let my spirit flow on through. Love coming through these veins. Let me break it down this way. Take time to enlighten me. Realize, make dreams of the simple things.
I am reaching for forgiveness, no blame to hold on to. Freedom and a love, how to give a sense of truth. Reaching for the let go, how to hold on. Discern what to take, while holding nothing is wrong. I am reaching. I am reaching. I am reaching. I am reaching.
So in my days, no more frowns. I have reasons to lift my arms above clouds.
Let my spirit flow on through.
Have love coming through these veins. Let me break it down this way. Take time to enlighten me. Realize, make dreams of the simple things. Reaching, I am reaching, I am reaching, I am reaching. Help my love to build, help my love to build, help my love to build, help my love to build. Hit by the clouds in the sky today. Everybody needs this sound to play. I'm down with the system and no display. So I keep going, keep going. Hit by the clouds above the bay. Everybody needs this sound to play. I'm down with the system and no display. So I keep going, keep going. Let's all get Gucci. Let's all get Gucci. Let's all get Gucci. Let's all get Gucci. I am reaching. reaching, yeah.
I am reaching for the sunshine. I am reaching for love. Yeah. I am reaching for the good vibes. Sinking and rising above.
I am reaching, yeah. I am reaching,
What should be?
I am reaching, yeah. I am reaching, yeah. I am reaching, yeah.
Wow, man. Awesome. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. Love it. I don't even want to ask you any more questions. Can you just play for the next half hour? That was amazing. Such a cool vibe.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, man. It just makes me feel so good. Like, if that doesn't make you want to just go out and conquer the day, reaching, right? Go out and get it. Reach for it. It's just beautiful. And you know, it's funny, while you guys are playing, I'm thinking, I'm thinking all these crazy things, right? I'm like, that baby that you have, did you say a son or a daughter?
Daughter.
Daughter. What is your daughter's name?
Juniper?
Juniper?
Yeah.
All I could think is Juniper is like the luckiest baby ever. And I can almost guarantee she's going to have this amazing musical ability. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm going, wow, these two are parents to this little baby, and you have this world going on. I love it. Great job. Great job.
Awesome. Thanks for your perspective. We do feel very fortunate to be doing everything that we're doing and be able to ride this wave of the quarantine and actually reach out and meet so many people like yourself and feel a lot of love in our quarantining home isolation here at the Hive. And it's also, we've gone through these huge lulls and ups and downs emotionally ourselves. So we're just riding the wave, just like all of you guys. We're definitely in the lows as much as the highs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm finding feedback, or being reached out to by someone like you, for example, just matters so much to stay in contact and connection, because our existence here is so tied to our ability to contribute and belong. So, the fact that we can have a reflection back and even be reminded, like, we have an incredible amount that we get to share that is a huge benefit. People are often saying, like, oh, I wish I could play music with my partner. And we forget, we even forget in moments how incredible it is what we have. So the reminders are gold, for keeping our perspectives healthy and keeping us awake and alive.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying about, getting back that sense of belonging. And, this is a tough time. And that's actually Wake Up to the Vibe. I was telling you earlier how it was a radio show years ago. And I was just goofing around a couple weeks ago, and I hit the record button. Oh, look at this. Go live to Facebook. Does this work? And I pushed the button, and all of a sudden, friends and family are chatting in. But it was the emails that I received and the text messages to my phone that I received afterwards, that when people say, hey, thanks for making me laugh again, man. It took my mind off of what's going on in the world. And I'm not talking one or two. I had to take a step back and think about this. It really touched my heart. And that's when I went out there looking for artists like, hey, let me see who I could find who I'm attracted to. Obviously if I don't feel good when I hear it, sorry, folks, it's probably not going to be on my show. But I'm so glad you just said that, about that sense of feeling and belonging. And music's a healer. Music heals the soul, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This is very cool.
We playing more music actually during these times than usual, and we're realizing that in the regular world we're just so busy trying to keep up with the ins and outs and going everywhere and being so busy that music has been put on the back burner, from
Right.
the business of music and the management and all the computer time. So as much as we are doing a lot of computer time now, it's pretty directly we're live streaming some song, and it's been really good to play music and get feedback from people from our dining room.
Yeah, it's got to be definitely a gear shift for you guys, because I was on your website and I was impressed by the amount of festivals that you perform. I mean, I know, I mentioned in the introduction you opened up for Blues Traveler and the Wailers, and I was just watching Joan Baez yesterday. She did a little remote from her house, just letting everybody know to stay healthy. And I said, wow, I haven't heard her name or seen a Joan Baez video in ages. And this has got to be a shift from all of these festivals and big crowds, and all of a sudden here we are pushing the go live button, right?
Yeah, big changes. Actually, Joan Baez is a funny story, because I saw her going to Spain the same time I was going to Spain, and I recognized her. She had all these guitars and somebody helping her with her traveling. And then years later, we actually played a private party together, and we did a duet, which is just really incredible. She didn't remember seeing me from the airport earlier, some years later, but it was an honor to do a Bob Dylan song with her back in the day.
I guess it is. I mean, think about that. As she's a legend, like John Prine, right? It's these are legends, man. I mean, that opportunity, and I don't believe in coincidences. I really don't. I believe, we all come together for a reason. A higher power brings us together. So I think that experience you had, Justin, with Joan Baez, that's not a coincidence. A guy like you plays all these instruments, you've got all this soul, meets Joan Baez. That's not a coincidence. That doesn't happen. Somebody put that together. So you guys, you came out with a new album, right? What is the name of the album?
Our album is called Dive Deep, because we
I love it.
we dove deep into all kinds of things in life and music and life.
Dive Deep by Honey of
And
the
this is
Heart.
our first studio album. So we have a number of live albums. Like if you go onto our Bandcamp, you can see them all there. But this is the first one where we chose every bit and sound, and everything about it was very carefully created, versus like what we do live is fun and has been really alive and easy to make records from. But this was like, okay, we're going to make a very intentional piece of art now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Is it self-produced, or did you bring a producer in at another studio, or did you record this out of your home studio? Tell me a little bit about the record.
Yeah, good question. I've spent a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars on previous albums, and I realized I can create my own studio with the amount of money I've invested in other studios. So I learned how to, utilize digital audio workstations and create a studio in Oakland. It's called Soul Graffiti Studios. And we use those tools, our microphones and preamps and skills, to record the album. And then we got an amazing, talented friend to support mixing and mastering it. It's Oz Fritz. He's the producer of people like Tom Waits.
Oh, beautiful.
And he actually lives 15 minutes from us up here in Grass Valley. I thought us moving up here and having the baby 3 hours outside of like the Bay Area, which is the hub of music, that we're going to alienate ourselves, but we ended up moving to the backyard of Oz Fritz, and then so many artists up here that ended up being on our album from this area.
Like they're like us. They're like, we need to replenish our nervous systems here after being out in the world so much.
I like that. Replenish our nervous systems. I'm stealing that line. I hope you don't mind. It says so much. Such a simple statement. Well, I mean, listen, the production, I have a recording studio background. I owned a recording studio for about 15 years back in the analog days, when I always joke. I say, we used to rock the tape when you hit rewind and it went way past zero. You know what I mean? It would go way past zero, it would come way back the other way, and then you just cut it wherever it landed. But yeah, I was an analog studio guy, so I have a great deal of respect for music that the tracks are layered properly. I think with uh, what I refer to as home studios, where you made your own studio, let's say, right? And you're not out there recording 50 other bands a week. Uh, I think sometimes people get lost in the technology because they have this ability. All of a sudden, they can layer 128 tracks. They layer 128 tracks, and it's like, no, man, the Beatles did it with 4. You know what I mean? It's you can get lost in technology, but I can tell with your music, you let it breathe, and the air is still flowing throughout your layered tracks. So well done, well done.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you guys, if you don't mind, to play one more for us before we go out and tackle our day. I know we talked about sandy beaches, right? That seems to be a pretty cool vibe as well. Maybe just a brief introduction of the song. Tell me what Sandy Beaches is. And by the way, Reaching, the one you just played, and Sandy Beaches are on the same record for those who want to purchase it. And we'll talk about that after the song. We're going to tell people how to purchase your music.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah, Sandy Beaches is an old song of mine that Maren kept asking me, so what are your lyrics saying, actually, Justin? And sometimes I make up syllables because I like the rhythm more than the meaning sometimes, or the feeling of the syllable. And Maren is a lyricist that really likes to find the meaning of the words. So she helped kind of mold us into having more meaning. And it's just it's a good little tune. I think it's on track 4 or 5 on our album.
Beautiful. And this is called Sandy Beaches, played by Honey of the Heart, right here on Wake Up to the Vibe.
Sandy beaches and the clouds, thought of life without the hours, and I hope I get to meet you someday. Rising sunshine in the east, feel I've got all that I need. Instead of gulping, I'll be sipping. I'm not looking anymore from bus at your movie store. Sin and rather be growing strong, like a full belly baby, carrying on, carrying on. And the shore, not be waiting anymore. Found all that I'm looking for. Rising sun to feel the sky, shift my gaze, open my eyes. Filled up, I am here with you now. I'm not looking anymore from bus at your movie store. I'd rather be growing strong, like a full belly baby, carrying on, carrying on. Taking time and setting sail to float out where all time stands still. Life is short and long with you, and I aim to carry it on, carry it on. short the time, so let us keep it real and kind, feeling gratitude the whole way through. To the best of my will, love to live this life and feel. Instead of gulping, I'll be sipping. Sandy beaches and the clouds, nothing's waiting anymore. Feeling bound all that I'm waiting for. To the best of my will, till I've got all that I need. Instead of gulping, I'll be sipping. Standing on the street corner, reaching out my hand for her. Humble me in the best of ways.
Excellent job, guys. I can't tell you how grateful I am that you took the time to bless my show with your beautiful music. And I mean that wholeheartedly. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for your appreciation, Joe.
Yeah.
It means a lot to us.
Oh man, I'm gonna do the download, man. I'm buying the album. You're gonna see a sale in about 30 minutes. As soon as I get out of this show here, I'm gonna go and download this and get it on my phone for when I do my morning lake walks, because this is just, it's healing. How can my viewers buy your music?
Yeah, so you can stream it on Spotify. We're also trying to get our plays up there on Spotify. Please add us to your playlists and go to honeyoftheheart.com, and you can directly download it through our Bandcamp link on our website, honeyoftheheart.com. And the proceeds go to us directly, which is really sweet. Bandcamp, takes a very small fee. And just in this pandemic, we actually thought that we were going to lose out on our whole tour and meeting people and getting our album out there, which was released January 1st, 2020. So it was like, this is our year to get our album out there.
Wow.
And it just so happens that because we're here doing so many things online, that I'm not sure if we're making as much of a movement if we were actually doing our tours. But it really helps out just with all the viewers and listeners of your show, and just to share it with your friends. If you download it and want to pass it to a friend, the MP3 that you download, please do that. And we are going to be creating a lot more music. We're going to be doing a lot of kind of special give me space sessions and go home sessions on our live streaming. You can join us on the Honey the Heart Hive, which is a Facebook group we just created. And we're also taking requests. So if people have specific covers of songs, we do our own rendition of them our own way.
The specific topics are home or space. So
home or space. I actually watched a video on YouTube. Maren, you were doing Crazy Love by Van Morrison.
Oh, yeah.
Probably one of the best versions I've ever heard. That was just gorgeous. And I mean, it's such a classic song, and yet you really have to do it justice if you're going to do a song like that. And oh my gosh, like I actually, it was one of those, where you listen to it twice, you go, wow, I'm sending it to my friends. I'm like, check this out. They're going to be on the vibe. This is cool.
Well, what a huge compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So Honey of the Heart, web address again, is it honeyoftheheart.com?
Yep.
I'm pretty quick. I figured that out.
Honey, get confused and say in the heart or something, but it's definitely Honey
of the Heart. I like that. I like the name because it's Honey of the Heart. That's sweet, right? And then I love the fact that you were live at the Hive. And then I think you got to put money in the honey jar, right?
Hey, I know. Another friend was like, "You mean your Hive streaming, right?"
Right. You're streaming Hive live on Facebook. I love it. Hey, listen, guys, thank you so much. Please keep me updated on new music. Make sure, what do we have? The Kitchen Jam.
Right here. This is the honey jar.
This is where it all started. I was watching the Kitchen Jam, right?
Exactly. That's the Kitchen Jam.
That's beautiful.
Honey sweetened. Clearly, it's honey sweetened jam, but
I love your approach to all of this. I love the self-production, the self-managed, the self-streaming. You know what? We don't need big record labels. You've got it going on right here. I see a very, very bright future for the two of you and for your daughter. God bless you guys and your family. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. So,
Yeah, this has been
you
fun.
as well.
Stick around. I'm going to close out the show, and we'll say goodbye to our listeners, and then the three of us can chat a little bit. So stick around here for a quick second. You're waking up to the vibe here on Ladies and Gentlemen. That was fun. Honey of the Heart. Some good music. That is Maren Metke, Justin Anchetta. My new friends. I got me some new friends. I want to wish everybody a great day, and make sure you pay it forward, let your light shine, and please share the Facebook page, like us, follow us, share us. Let's have a watch party. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out.